Takeoff and Quavo been in the news. Maybe the whole Migos have been in the news because this Friday, Unk and Few, they're called now. Unk and Few drops a new single called Hotel Lobby. Unk and Few is the new duo name of Takeoff and Quavo. I know you're one of the biggest Migos fans I've ever known. So I have to get your opinion.
Yeah, and for all you that know me, I've been a big Migos fan since high school days. So I can't believe it.
So what do you have to say? We'll get to the song itself, but what do you have to say about the whole Takeoff and Quavo thing, Offset unfollowing? What do you have to say about all that?
I feel it has something to do with like Cardi B and him wanting to live his lifestyle like outside of the Migos' brand.
Mm-hmm.
However, though, I feel like he should pay tribute to where he has garnished his success from.
You're talking about Offset, so you think Offset should be handling it differently?
Yeah, and he should be more like involved with the music. Don't get me wrong, he has a personal life, he has kids.
Yeah.
However, though, he should be involved with his original passion that he had.
That's not to say like you're saying he's just like with the Migos, but I mean that's not to say he still could be recording music. Maybe just not with Takeoff and Quavo.
Yeah, but then again, that's true. But then he should be recording more music with Takeoff and Quavo.
So do you think it's like they just have like a personal beef? Like something came between them, and then Takeoff and Quavo, they're kind of good, so they're riding off as Unk and Few, and Offset's gonna go do his own thing. What do you make of that?
Like I said, I believe it's just the lifestyle that Offset's living. I think he's gonna be more involved in music, and Quavo and Takeoff, they're still gonna be involved. So like, they were just like, hey, we're gonna set us apart. We're gonna just be a duo, but I don't know if it's gonna last. People are saying it's a whole like publicity stunt just to get like the hotel lobby and the single and the views up, but
the top 100.
Yeah, but I don't know. I know Quavo's a serious man, so I know there's something else behind it. He wouldn't just like change his whole name of the Migos. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it's weird because like for them to like, I think it's weird because like no one has really spoken on it, and when it's like three personalities such as the Migos, you would think, some information would slip out if it was real beef. You know what I mean? Like you would think like information slips out into the public so easily with everything. So for this to not like slip out, it makes it seem like there's just something going on behind the scenes. I don't know. At first, when I first heard about it, obviously like they paint the picture and they make it out to be like there's a beef, blah blah blah. But I think when you go and you look more into it, is it coincidental that they're doing all this and the song is coming out? I don't think it's a coincidence. Is it a coincidence that they've all been speaking on dropping their own individual solo projects after Culture 3, which just dropped last year? And ultimately, the summer is coming up, and I know QC is probably going to want to have an active summer, and QC cannot have an active summer without the Migos being active, because QC is the Migos and Lil Baby. They got some other artists on there, but let's be real. That's who they got. That's their people. So you can't have a hot QC summer if the Migos aren't active. You know what I mean? That includes them individually and as a group. So I don't think it's a coincidence that all of this is going on at the same time. So I'm leaning publicity stunt. You know what I mean? These guys are smart businessmen who come up, off of what they've come up off of. I don't think they're going to make some little Hollywood beef get in between them like that. You know what I mean? They've been through too much. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. Do you think they'll make it this obvious, though?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you mean this obvious?
If it is a publicity stunt, like, being in their shoes, would they just do that and then, like, just call it a publicity stunt? You know what I'm saying? And then do that, and then, like
some like you're saying, some would say this is an obvious publicity stunt.
Exactly, but I don't. If you're in their shoes, I feel like you're not doing that.
But at the same time,
you're making more smarter moves.
You could make the argument that this is like the smart move because keep in mind we're talking about it and we're not the only people talking about it. So a lot of people are talking about the Migos that not necessarily we're talking about the Migos before this whole rumor started. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Would we be talking about the Migos right now? Would we even be talking about this song right now if it weren't for this whole beef? I don't know. Because it was a good song. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Migos fan, so obviously I'm gonna like the song. I thought it was a good song. I'm gonna like it regardless if there was a beef or not. But would the song do as good in terms of the views, the charting, all of that without this whole thing? I don't think so, because the Migos, they're the types of artists now, unfortunately, that they're not gonna get those huge numbers without something else behind them. They can't just do it on their own. They're gonna need a beef. They're gonna need some kind of public thing going on in the media.
That's not true.
They didn't even sell #1 with Culture 3. And you know I love that album. I'm not even hating on the Migos. I'm just being real.
They could make a poppin' single, poppin' feature, get back into the game.
Sure they could. But it's just they just don't have, like, people are just fucking with the younger generation now. Like Migos, like it's just in terms of the hottest of the hot. Like, I'm not saying Migos aren't hot,
For sure.
because they did sell over 100K. That's a lot of people do not do that. We were just talking about, like, in on previous episodes, talking about how people are selling 10K, 8K. You know what I mean? 100K is a lot. They didn't go #1, but that's only because Polo G dropped a very highly anticipated album the same week. So you have to keep that kind of stuff in mind. Let's not say the Migos they're doing decent for themselves, obviously. You know what I mean? But they're not as hot as they used to be. You know what I mean? And it's just what it is.
Of course.
So I think it makes sense that they're doing this whole publicity stunt thing that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just makes sense. But the real question is, do you think, if this continues, if, let's say, Quavo and Takeoff drop an album, what are your expectations for this album? If it happens, as a duo, do you think Quavo and Takeoff can be successful?
I think Quavo and Takeoff can be successful. I think they could do it on their own. I just feel like it's not going to be as strong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be, like, as authentic.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking for, like, the Migos.
Yeah. I
So-
think, what?
So if it's not all of them, it's just, I don't know. And, like, the mindset and the thought process behind the album is going to be different, too. So,
Yeah. And maybe things will just be done differently because Offset's not there.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe, like, we don't know how things are behind the scenes, but I know Offset, being the oldest, probably just have a little bit of respect over maybe the other two in some ways and aspects. So with him not being there, how does the dynamic change of them two? There's just a lot of different things to consider. But I think they could be successful. But I think what is going to hold them back ultimately, if they do continue to do this little duo thing, is the fact that they've obviously have so much music out as the Migos. Everyone knows them as the Migos. Even though they know them individually, they know them as a collective as well. Every single good song they've released, people are going to say Offset would have snapped on this. They're going to say, oh, this song would have been even better if Offset was on there. Because the expectation...
Vice versa.
Because the expectation has always been that, like, he will be on there. If you have Quavo and Takeoff, you're probably going to have Offset on there too. So every single song that comes out, Quavo and Takeoff, it's going to be like, dang, I wish I could have heard Offset on this song because he probably would have slid on this beat. It's the same thing, like for example, Bad and Bougie, no Takeoff. Would Takeoff have slid on that beat? Probably, but he wasn't on there. You know what I mean? Do we wish we had him on there? I don't know, because that song was a hit. It was a great song. Did it need him? I don't know. But there's no denying that he would have slid. You know what I'm saying? And I think every single song that comes out as this whole Unconfused thing is going to get the same conversation talking about Offset. He would have slid on this. And I think that's what's ultimately going to hold them back.
Yeah, and people are questioning Takeoff's ability. They're saying that he's underrated.
I think he's underrated. I think he's been underrated for a long time.
Sure.
I just saw a tweet from what's the head of QC's name? You probably know it. The head of QC. QCP?
QCP. Yeah,
QCP. Yeah, P. Yeah, QCP. He just tweeted.
I think the other one's name is Coach K.
Yeah, okay. It was QCP who just tweeted it. He just tweeted it. It was maybe yesterday or a few days ago when the song dropped, and he said, "Takeoff he has the potential, and he's he still does have the potential. He could have been the biggest in the music game, but he don't take it as serious. Like, he's just naturally good at it, but he don't take it as serious as the other two. And I think that shows in terms of, like, Takeoff has the ability. We all know that. Like, his solo project didn't sell as well as Quavo and Offset because he hasn't marketed himself as well as the other two. So I think that's what makes him underrated, per se.
He just hasn't had that hit.
But he could have had that hit, though. I feel like he could have had that hit. Like, there's nothing stopping him from having that hit.
He just hasn't had that hit.
But when you have the capabilities of Offset, not only the talent, but the features you can get. Like, this guy knows everybody. There's nothing stopping him from having a solo hit.
I know he has the talent. However, I'm just saying, especially by himself. Quavo, Offset, they've all had a hit where they're featured or they're by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Takeoff,
and it
really hasn't had that.
Exactly, but why is that? I don't understand why that is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. The body of work for Takeoff is not really there. Besides, like, how many solo Takeoff songs have we even got? Like not really any.
Maybe, like P said, he's just not taking it as seriously. So imagine if he were to do more features.
And imagine like the only thing I can imagine is, like, he probably doesn't even go to the studio without Quavo and Offset even being there. So, like, that's why we never get solo songs, because, like, every single time he's in the studio, he's with one of them making a song.
Facts.
So, like, every single time a verse is being spit by Takeoff, he's with Quavo, so Quavo's gonna be on that song, or Offset's on that song. You know what I mean? So, like, maybe he needs to go to the studio by himself more. I don't know. Maybe he needs. I'm not gonna question Takeoff, because, he's fine. He's doing fine in life regardless. But I feel like he could have done more. You know what I mean? Because maybe, you could argue in terms of pure rapping ability, he might be the most talented out of the three.
He still can.
He still can. And QCP said it. He still can if he wants to. I don't know. But if he hasn't done it yet, I don't see why he would. I'm not going to lie. Because, I mean, how long have they've been in the game? A long time.
Yeah, and he's getting into crypto now.
Like, he's just doing other things. I feel like he's going to keep rapping. Obviously, he's going to keep doing music, but I don't see him doing anything more solo. More, you know what I mean? He might, like, do a little bit, but I don't see too much of that for Takeoff in the future.